Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 549 of the DrunkNerds podcast. I'm your host, as always. I am Tyler, and join me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Gables. What's up, buddy?
I'll tell you what, man. I feel like I'm in rare form after both of us just watched the Nintendo E3 press conference of 2007. I feel like I'm in a raring to
Oh
go type of
boy, yeah,
mood.
feeling some emotions after that one. Gables and I, we did a fun little thing here. We're gonna do this semi often here. Where we're gonna go back. It's kind of, it's almost May. It's gonna be May. Um, but I'm like, man, I'm getting nostalgic for those E3. We didn't have one last year. We've only had one the last 3 years. We're not gonna get one this year. I was like, I really, I want to watch some E3 stuff here. So uh, Gables and I started to watch an old E3 press conference, and Gables said let's watch a Nintendo one, and we wanted to go in blind. We didn't know which one to pick. We wanted to watch an older one,
Yeah.
so I had 2004 to 2015 links I found in front of us here. Did a random generator thing, landed on 2007, watched that one, and I don't know if that was the best or worst one to start off with, but it was a press conference.
Oh, trust me, there are other worse ones than that
Yeah,
are on
yeah.
our
From
list.
from like a big news stuff, it was the worst one, but for just pure entertainment of like how awful these things used to be, um, and the just the times we were in with gaming, very different in 2007. But yeah, that will be if you're listening to us or watching us on YouTube or anywhere else, um, hey, like, follow, subscribe first off, but then click on the link if you're watching or listening to us somewhere else. Link down in that description below. Go to our YouTube channel, like, follow, subscribe. Maybe ring that bell too, and it'll be going up on Wednesday. We're recording this on Saturday night, but that'll be going up on Wednesday. Gibbles and I, a live reaction, I guess we want to call it, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
of the 2007 Nintendo E3 Direct, or not even Direct, just press conference, I guess, is before Directs. So, but there was some pretty hilarious moments in that thing. Uh, yeah.
Oh,
So,
shit.
yeah. But anyways, Gables, how you been doing?
Dude, I'm feeling pretty good. This past week was pretty busy. Not also in terms of like say working like usual work and stuff like that, but transferring thing medical stuff like that to and from with my dad and stuff. So it's like it's been mostly like just taking care of a whole bunch of like different things. And on top of that, I really played maybe like a little bit in the course of the week. There was a new game that I did end up playing. I ended up buying it for like dirt cheap or something at Walmart, and I was playing a little bit of that and stuff during the week. But other than that, though, I spent a lot of my time this week watching the playthrough of Maximilian Dude for the original Legend
Oh,
of
wow.
Zelda. Because here's the thing about him is like he wanted to go and play through this game blind, and by blind standards for him is like no no backseat gaming and stuff by the chat. So I kid you not, he literally had like this whole restriction thing his mods put into place and stuff. You don't
Mm,
backseat game. It's like one time it's like as an offense you're like timed out for 30 minutes. The second offense you're timed out for like
damn.
3 days. But no, I was just watching how he was going through because he couldn't look up any online guides. He basically had like a couple lifelines he could use, like three lifelines. So he has like three calls. So appropriately, he would queue up the music for like "Who Wants to Be a Millionaire" every time they would even had to use a lifeline. And what's hilarious is like one of the calls that he actually used, like on the other night or something like that. He called up one of his mods, and it's like, oh, man, I'm sorry, dude, I have no knowledge of the original Legend of Zelda. It's like, oh man, I just
That's
wasted a
funny.
lifeline. No, what's hilarious is one of his friends, Kenny or something like that, when he called Kenny and stuff as a lifeline, he actually started like talking in like how a person from like the Nintendo helper line and stuff like that would be. It's like, yeah, this is how you have to do it. You have to get to this and
That's
that.
funny.
It was pretty freaking funny, but the dude end up spending like 2 days. He beat this game like within 2 days, right? But during this last one, he spent like about a good solid 7 hours playing this game from like the initial point that he had left off. He finished like what was it dungeon number 6, right? And so basically that 7 hour period, he went from like went through 7, 8, and then like the ninth one, the last one with Ganon and stuff. God, man, it just was a blast seeing someone who never played Legend of Zelda before, the original NES game, figure out all these different secrets that are like hidden in plain sight. And it's like, oh, this is what that means, and that's what this means. And afterwards, he went through and like watched a speed run and like saw all these things that he missed and stuff. But it kind of akin to my playthrough of the original Legend of Zelda last year, I think it was at this point, where I did somewhat the same thing, only I did use some online guides and I did have save states present because, well, let's just be perfectly honest with you. It gets frustrating in older games when you don't have something inside of a save state and you have to use like a manual save. It could be a long while before you can actually go through and
Yeah.
pass certain things. But other than that, man, that was pretty much my week.
I'm
How have
doing all
you
right,
been,
you know,
Tyler?
clanging and banging as always. Feeling pretty good. You know, I am off until Thursday, so that's pretty cool. Uh, yep.
Damn, there you go.
You know, my work, our vacation resets in June, so I had 2 days I had to use up before June 1st, and basically, they were like, this was like the last week there was any like open vacation days. So I was like, okay, well, I was looking
Hmm.
on the time off available, and I'm like about like a month ago, and I was like, all right, like my work, no one can take time off around Mother's Day because it's like one of our outside of Christmas, it's like the busiest time of the like that. The week around Mother's Day is like the busiest
Understandable.
time of the year for us, outside of like the holidays and then like tax season. Um, so like that whole like period's blocked off. So I was like, okay, the whole like week before Memorial Day is blocked off, and the week after, I'm like, all right, well, guess I'm doing it here. So, which hey, it worked out because I'm already off on Wednesday, so I got a nice little 5 day weekend. So I said to use Monday and Tuesday, so that's awesome. Then it worked out too because got Star Wars to play as well. So, um, but I right off top though, I played very little Star Wars, but I'll get into that a little bit later. There's another game that's taken up a large chunk of my time the last couple days.
Okay.
Well, really the last week, but the last 2 days especially. So, but before we get into that, guys, let's get into some of the news this week. Gables, let's start off
Yeah.
with one of the biggest news stories in years, possibly in gaming. But it's the problem is it's
Hmm.
been talked about so much the last 18 months that I've pretty much had like just we've basically had like an unspoken rule. We just don't talk about it. It's like Fight Club, and that's
Yep.
the Microsoft Activision uh, merger. It's like that, and like there was the Fortnite Apple lawsuit going on. It's like we just had like we didn't even
Yep.
talk about it. We just both knew that neither of us wanted to talk about it, so we just haven't. But this one feels like we need to talk about. Gables, this is pretty big. So we're kind
Exactly.
of breaking the rule for this one, and I went to go add it. It was funny that Gables and I same wavelength, um, where I was literally went to go in to put it in the show notes, and then Gables has already put it in there for me. So I'm like, all right, that shows you like, all right, Gables already got it in there. That means we. It was funny. It's just like the same time, boom, already in there. Okay, cool. But anyways, this kind of broke, I believe, on Tuesday or Wednesday. It was Wednesday. Um,
Mhm.
that in the UK, the CMA. Let's see if I can. So I'm looking. I have the Video Game Chronicles article here, and they got a lot of quotes in here. I'm basically going to read pretty much the entire article because there's just so many quotes. I was like, normally I just like cut and paste out certain things I want to talk about, um, but
Mhm.
I was like cutting and I was copying and pasting. I was like, I just have the whole article here. I'm just going to talk about the whole fucking article. I'm just going to read the whole article. Um, but there's been some stuff going back for it. It seemed like this whole thing was done. Like it was just a matter of time. All these other countries have pretty much been
Yes.
okaying it. and it just came down to UK and the US. Um,
We were on the assumption that this was going to
it's just a
go
matter of time.
through because of it was just a matter of time and stuff. And then this update pretty much threw that entire logic out the window, just threw a monkey wrench into the plans at hand for both
Yeah.
Microsoft and Activision.
Um, so the FTC, Federal Trade Commission here in the U.S., has been doing a lot. They've been trying to block it, but kind of a rundown from that. Like, so I am not a professional in this whatsoever, but I have listened to a lot of podcasts, and a lot of people like podcasts that bring on people that understand this stuff better than the casual gamer or whatever. To try to and I've listened to podcasts like just try to understand how big, like, why is this such a big issue? Like, obviously, two companies merging, it's a $69 billion deal. It's the biggest deal in video game history of a merger. Um, that is almost 7 times bigger than the next closest one. And I believe that's when Activision bought King, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but I think it's one of the 15 biggest mergers in the U.S. history, um, as well. On top of that, and there's been a lot of issues like we've seen over the last, really, this is going on for decades now. But you look at like Time Warner and AOL back in the 2001 when they
Mm-hmm.
merged together. It's still to this day the biggest merger in the history of ever, really, in of all of like
Yes.
corporations. Is a three I think it was 350 billion with a B, um, dollar merger. And we've seen like obviously then Warner and Discovery merged last year. We're seeing, I mean, there was one U.S. Cellular and T-Mobile, I want to say, merged. And that was a big deal because there was only four big markets out there for cell phones, and now there's the third and fourth biggest merged together to make one. And the two big ones, those are the AOL, Time Warner, and this one, and the U.S. Cellular and T-Mobile, I believe. Um, those mergers, the U.S. government has talked about, is they really regret what they did there because after that, we've seen massive explosions in prices of things, especially like on the cell phone side. Just the price increases on those have just
Yes,
gone through the
absolutely.
roof. And obviously, smartphones is part of that too, but cell phone plans have just gone up and up and up for a long time now because of that. Less competition. So we've seen like the FTC really try to uh, kind of cut down on these massive mergers with these massive companies, which obviously that's generally pretty smart. I think it's not the worst idea in the world. Like you want to make sure that it's good for everybody, um, and that's why. But there's so much legislation through the Supreme Court and stuff like that that they have lost. That's gone the other direction. That there's so much history that of them losing that it's hard to kind of turn that around. Um, so really, all the FTC can at this point can do for any of these things is like eventually they always lose, but they just make it as difficult as possible and just hope you either give up or eventually they lose. And we've seen that like especially over the last couple of years now under the Biden administration. I guess they've done. I don't know exactly what he's done, but they have like really tried to hanker down on these massive mergers. Um, so that's what's going on here, and they're bidding to try to block it, or they're just postponing the inevitable is what they're doing. But the big one here that's happening. Sorry for the long story to get to this. Um, is in the UK, the CMAs, which I don't know why the Country Music Awards has that much power in the UK, but they are one of the biggest like bodies in the UK. Uh, but the CM basically what's going on here is here's the quote: the CMA has prevented Microsoft's proposed purchase of Activision over concerns the deal would alter the future of the fast growing, sorry, I'm trying to say with a straight face, the fast growing cloud gaming market, leading to a reduced innovation and less choice for UK gamers over the years to come. Uh, so of all the things, it's not Call of Duty could become permanently over
Mm-hmm.
to Microsoft. It's not all these studios going over. Which crazy all about this is the fact that we've seen a lot of unionization going on the Activision side, and I'm not in unions, never have been. I don't really know. I know a lot of people don't like them. I know a lot of people love them. Um, but we've seen Microsoft say that they will support any union, that anybody that unionizes, they will back them. And Activision has been trying to bust them for a long time, and to the point now where these corporations, even though there's gonna be mass layoffs, so this merger happens, there's gonna be a ton of layoffs that happen when this thing happens. But
Mm-hmm.
these people on the Activision side want this merger to go through because they hate the people running this company so bad they want them gone. So that's how crazy this whole thing is. But anyways, it's fucking
I
wild.
know, right?
Um, so I mean, before we get to the rest, Gables, when you heard the news that cloud gaming was the thing that could potentially cause this not to happen, what was your initial reaction?
Initial reaction is quite simply,
Yeah.
what the fuck? I mean, really, it was probably one of the more lesser known not just lesser known, but like it was just like one of the lesser things I would have ever thought that they would initially would try to break like an endorsement, like a pull, like a deal of some form, because of initial cloud gaming stuff for the future. I mean, I look at it this way: it's like cloud gaming is like normally in general, it's not like by like one or multiple, like one company in general. It's like across multiple different, what I thought was like multiple
Mm-hmm.
different type of streaming
Yeah.
stuff, correct? So how would Microsoft, in this case and scenario, have a monopolization on cloud streaming stuff with
Well,
Activision
it's just the
Blizzard?
idea that they would exclusively have Call of Duty on their cloud streaming service only.
Oh, okay. If you want to combine the two right at this moment, but even so, though, it's like that still would not be, you would still have other options though to even like remotely get like those games like on other platforms in that regards, but yet the UK was so concerned because of the cloud gaming aspect of it would be so severely restricted for their consumers because it's only for the Microsoft brand. That, wow, that, I mean, granted, yeah, I can understand somewhat what they're saying, but at the same time, I know the market isn't there currently, like to a full extent for like what cloud gaming
Mm-hmm.
could eventually become. We've had improvements upon cloud gaming by like say with Microsoft with like with certain like recent systems, but even with their own goal currently right now of like streaming things across multiple consoles on multiple different generations, like say with their Xbox One consoles to the Series S and Series X, there's still hiccups and there's still things they need to improve upon, try to do quality content for that stuff. But uh, I just thought it was just I thought it would be like them citing a different reason, like altogether. Maybe it was like in regards to some other minute little thing, but I never thought like cloud gaming would be the thing that would initially get the whole reasoning why
Yeah.
they were pulling
I
out.
wonder if like this was like maybe like their concerns, like their this concern in general is like how they feel, but cloud gaming was like the one bit of evidence that they can use to tie to that of like them taking over the
Yeah,
market, which we've talked about. And like, yeah, we don't big massive companies merging is not really great for a lot of it. A lot of really not a lot of people. Really,
no,
just the people that the
absolutely
shareholders
not.
and the people running the companies, the top people, really the only people it's really great for usually. Um, and so I can understand that. In gaming, um, I don't know if that's necessarily because we see these small companies blow up and come out of nowhere all the time, like Valheim last year,
Yes.
or like something like a Minecraft or Roblox or I don't know, fucking random iPhone games that we never thought about, like that just generate millions of dollars that we never even heard of. Um, there's games like No Man's Sky, shit like that. Like these companies can come out of nowhere and just become huge in just a matter in a matter just for nothing. We see like what's the original like one of the big original battle royale games, uh, player unknown
Fortnite.
battleground, not Fortnite, battle but yeah, like we see these games become massive successes. You find a niche, you find an audience. You couple people with an audience stream your game, all of a sudden you're the next big thing. So it's possible for these to
Yep.
come out of nowhere. So I'm not. I don't think this would like necessarily hurt them entirely. Like these like we've seen these massive mergers, like these big companies, like we see less and less of them. That's not a great thing, but like think about like Midway back in the day, like they're gone. Look at THQ, like all these big things you never thought would go away have been gone for a long
are
time,
gone.
and new things pop up. Um, Now, obviously, it's you can't really compare the '90s to the 2020s anymore, but I don't think that I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not a huge I don't business is not my background, but from what I understand of everything, like this is not as big. This isn't an AT&T or this isn't the third biggest cell phone company and the fourth biggest cell phone company merged together to become one, and now there's only three big cell phone companies. Um, but anyways, here. So also with the comments, Microsoft has a strong position in cloud gaming services, and the evidence available to the CMA showed that Microsoft would find it commercially beneficial to make Activision's game exclusive to its own cloud gaming services. Which no shit, that's part of the reason they're buying them. Microsoft already accounts for an estimated 60%, 60 to 70% of global cloud gaming services, and has other important strengths in the cloud gaming, from
Wow.
owning Xbox to the leading PC operating system, Windows, and global cloud computing infrastructure, Azure, and Xbox Cloud Gaming, xCloud, as you know it. The deal would reinforce Microsoft's advantage in the market by giving it control over important gaming content such as Call of Duty, Overwatch, World of Warcraft. The evidence available to CMA indicates that, absent the merger, Activision would start providing games via cloud platforms in the foreseeable future. Um, the cloud allows UK gamers to avoid buying expensive gaming consoles and PCs, and gives them much more flexibility and choice as to how they play, allowing Microsoft to take such a strong position in the cloud gaming market, just as it begins to grow rapidly, would risk undermining the innovation that is crucial to the development of these opportunities. Um, so yeah, like I can understand that. You look at that, and also you look at like everything else nowadays. You look at in just the last 20 years, like music, movies, uh, TV, whatever, all of entertainment basically. The vast majority of it now is streaming. You know, whether you're even like buying
Yep.
like, I don't buy DVDs anymore or Blu-rays. I haven't bought really those regularly, unless I find like a really nice deal on something, or I have a few too many drinks and I buy something on Amazon, like Detective Pikachu. Um, you know, I literally that was like I own two Blu-rays. That's it. Everything else I own. I do everything. I buy everything else Amazon Prime, digitally, or yeah, I watch Netflix. I have YouTube TV, shit like that. Um, Music, like we Apple, between buying stuff on Apple Music to now like the last decade with Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music, all that. Like everybody streams. Um, so you can, yeah, like I can understand that, like, oh, music and movies, like in TV, we all just like that's a vast majority of that is now streamed online. So like I can understand why, like regulators, government body would think, okay, well, gaming's gonna be there, but like I don't know, like obviously, cloud gaming is not big as they think it is. Maybe 15, 20 years from now, maybe it will be. Maybe the CMA is like they're actually really smart here and they're calling it, and they know it way better than we do. That maybe, yeah, maybe 15, 20 years now, the internet is, I mean, we like think about where we were 20 years ago. Think about what we're doing now online in online gaming. To think about 20 years ago, we never would have thought that was possible. Um,
No, we wouldn't
so yeah,
have.
who knows in 20 years? But like we've seen part of the reason why Google, or I'm sorry, Microsoft is so good. Like they own 60% of the gaming, and I said this 2 years ago or a year, yeah, 2 years ago when XCloud, the beta first came out, was like they're doing it right. We talk about OnLive, Ouya, Google Stadia, Amazon Luna. I'm sure there's maybe a couple other ones I'm not like those that GeoForce, the Nvidia GeoForce Now, what the fuck it's called. Like all these ones out there they're already going. The problem is for these ones, they don't have their own big games, like, or they might have some exclusive indie deals out there, or like some smaller games that come to them, but a lot of the games coming on there are like older games at full price. And most gamers don't want, we want all of our stuff in as few places as possible. Like a lot of people,
Right.
they have a PlayStation, they own a PlayStation, all their games are on PlayStation. Uh, or like, I buy a lot of games digitally, but like I buy them digitally on like PlayStation and Nintendo. And I buy Nintendo first party stuff. They're on digitally, they're on there. PlayStation digital stuff, they're on there. It's like people that like we've seen Epic like right now with the Epic Game Store, loses money because they give out such great deals to get exclusivity rights to get bigger games on their platform. Because they're just trying to get people to move over to them. Because some people are
Right.
hunkered down on Steam. Yeah,
And for
yeah,
good
and
reason.
but Steam was the first, like not the first one, but they're like they've been the one for like almost 20 years now. So people are like everybody just buys stuff on Steam. The people don't want to. We've seen Activision give up on the idea or like making people buy games through their service. Now they put them on Steam. EA same thing. Now they put them on Steam.
Yep.
They understand people want to buy things through. They want people. They want as few places, marketplaces as possible to own other things on. Um, and I've said this. I said this 2 years ago with Xbox. We're like they're doing it right because XCloud is just a part of it's a very small part of what they're doing. Like they're still focusing on Game Pass, they're focusing on the console itself, and they're focusing on they have great games. Well, hopefully they'll have great games, but they have games, and also we've been buying games from them a long time. And there's games that we bought digitally from them 15 years ago that we can still play on their consoles. So we are they have it's like I have an iPhone. I've had an iPhone for I don't know over a decade now, and it's like I'm not like it's not because I'm an Apple guy. It's just all my photos are on there. It's the platform I know. It's like that's the reason I'm an iPhone guy is because I've always had an iPhone. Like the same thing with gamers, and it's like xCloud. Like you have that because like hey, I could play the games I already own and stream them. I don't have to like buy this game that's 5 years old. Um, that I can get for $10 on Xbox, and they're charging me $50, $60 for it here, and it's gonna be who knows how well it's gonna work. Like Google Stadia, like and Amazon Luna, for all everybody says the tech is great. Google Stadia, like the tech, they use the tech. It's like they use it on Pelotons now. They use it on other like they actually have incorporated in other parts of their business. Like that tech was really good. They just didn't have any fucking games for it. They just kind of gave up on it. They didn't like they way too soon before they even give it a chance. And that's part of the reason why they own that 67% is like because like this is the only way I think it's really going to take off is stuff like this is PlayStation is Nintendo hold for laughter on Nintendo and in cloud gaming uh, is one of the big three in Steam like really one of those four really investing in cloud gaming to become a big ordeal um, so I can understand why like that's why it makes sense when you see 67% because they're the only ones that have like an established marketplace to do it. Um, but anyways, moving on here. Microsoft's president Brad Smith said they're disappointed by a CMA's decision. The Microsoft UK president said it's the saddest day in Microsoft UK's history in 40 years. So that's pretty crazy. They did say that they plan on appealing this, and who knows how long it's going to take. That could take years on top of that. But yeah, I don't.
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, this is the first time Gables where like I always just figure it's a matter of time. Like we've seen all the, like there's been the jokes. It's been talked about forever because like you see all the headlines coming out of like oh my god, PlayStation said this about this or Xbox said this about this, but it's all been lawyer stuff. That's why I think it's been overblown. Because like
True.
you see, like the headlines are definitely juicy, but then when you read the articles, it's like, oh, it's the Sony's lawyer said this or Microsoft's lawyer said that. It's like, I don't know. It's like I feel like a big part of this is that like obviously these government bodies do not understand gaming. Um, like like a lot of us do, a lot of people that cover it, um, nearly to the extent. Fuck, I mean, I said this years ago when we talked about like when Star Wars Battlefront 2 and that whole loot box thing blew up and the governments were getting involved all over the world.
Yes.
I said, that was 2017. I said we got to fix this shit because like obviously this is a bigger thing than that, but like this is not something I don't want the government getting involved in. Like back then I said this isn't a me disliking Trump thing. This is we've seen the government with like NWA in the 90s or Mortal Kombat or Beavis and Butthead. Like we've seen the way like
Mm-hmm.
they react and they talk about things. They don't have any fucking clue what they're talking about. We, did anybody not
Mm-hmm.
see the fucking TikTok Congress bullshit? Like that was a joke. And it's like we want these people to get involved in this thing? No. Like I don't know. It's like obviously we need like FTC, we need the CMA, we need those things around. But it's like I don't think these people fully understand the end of the weeds of this, and maybe I don't need them to, but I feel like they need to have people that do the research for them to understand those things. Um, I don't know, like, but like I said, I am not like a business guy here. I'm not. I don't. This is not my background, but like, it's just me spending a lot of time listening to a lot of people talk about these things and like trying to understand it for myself as best as I can. Um, but yeah, it's like the most tired conversation game. But this is the first time to me. I was like, oh fuck, this is the first time for me where I'm like, this may not happen. And then if this doesn't happen,
Oop.
Gables, Microsoft has to give Activision $3 billion. So they're out $3 billion at minimum. They're out $3 billion for nothing if this doesn't go through. So
Wow, I was actually unaware that Microsoft would actually have to give Activision Blizzard the $3 billion that they would have
yeah,
acquired,
yeah. I guess there's like
for
that's
their
like a common
services.
thing. Like they when these mergers happen, if it falls through, or if they back out for any reason, even if it's no fault of their own, like like the government stopping them, that company has to give them X amount of dollars um, as a make good, essentially. Um, but one thing we got to think about here, Gables, is if this doesn't happen, I imagine Activision is going to sell because we've talked about a lot about the issues at
They have
Activision,
to,
not even
yeah.
like the shit going on with the workforce stuff, but just like the company as like a business itself as making money. Like there wasn't supposed to be a Call of Duty this year. They've somehow like sounds like they scrambled and they're patching one together to put out in the fall, but they're just delaying the inevitable. They're gonna miss a year, and it's
Hmm.
like they have they have merged every studio they have into the Call of Duty factory. They have
Yes, they
they
did.
like they created this great franchise, and they have built the business around that one franchise. Um, and it's the fact they have nothing left other than like Blizzard is not what they used to be. Um, we see
Nope.
everybody the World of Warcraft side, like the World of Warcraft gamers hate Blizzard, and Blizzard people hate World of Warcraft gamers. Overwatch 2, they did kill Overwatch to make Overwatch 2, and
Hmm.
it's not exactly fucking blowing up out there. Um, Diablo,
No, I
no,
hardly hear
Diablo
anything about
4
it.
seems like it's gonna be awesome. For everything, the betas out there and stuff like that, people seem very happy with so far what they got, but um, I don't know. I imagine they're gonna sell, but who has 60, 70 billion dollars out there? Microsoft's one of the five richest companies in the world. I doubt Apple's going to pay that money. I
No.
the only other thing I can think of is, I mean, Saudi Arabia. And who would you rather have own Activision? Would you who like who would you want Saudi Arabia? Because someone's gonna buy it, and it's gonna happen. Do you want Saudi
Right.
Arabia buying this fucking thing, or would you rather have Microsoft buy this thing?
Mm. Well, that's just that's just the point, man. It's like there's not going to be too many other big companies that are want to come in and buy an Activision Blizzard even after this whole like attempt and stuff by Microsoft. Because if this thing doesn't fall through, I mean, hell, Activision Blizzard may gain $3 billion inside of that exchange because of that whole thing. But at the same point, it's like they pretty much lined themselves into a corner to where they're mostly working on Call of Duty stuff. They have Diablo 4, which has had some positive stuff to it, but yeah, this comes off of their failed attempts and stuff, and not only just in, like Diablo Immortal, but also in terms of like other crazy ass happenings around their own company in terms of whatever type of allegations or what other type of this and that and
Warcraft
stuff.
3 remake or remaster or
So
whatever it was, where they
yeah,
took
that
down the original
debacle,
one to
that
put this out. Yeah,
that's one of the major fears. So for any type of game that gets remastered and stuff, there's always that fear that the original game may be taken down because of quote unquote fixes to make it more accessible. But yeah, man, it's just crazy. It's just crazy that that could potentially happen now, where Microsoft could just end up giving Activision Blizzard $3 billion. without actually
Yeah,
being
yeah.
acquired.
Um, I don't know. I mean, like I said, like this was like the golden parachute that Activision needed. This was like their one. I'm not saying the company's gonna go out of business at all, but um, like something's gonna drastically. Like I imagine like I thought mass layoffs. This thing gets when they merge. There's probably gonna be massive layoffs, whether or not this merges or not, because they're gonna have to like. That's
Oh, there will be massive layoffs. That company is known for doing massive layoffs and still
yeah,
reporting
but I mean the problem
profit.
is now is like they've been losing talent left and right for the last few years now, especially in that world where work from home the last few years is it's so big, and we see so many other big companies
Hmm.
like just a lot of companies in general in that world allow people to work from home. Activision is one of the few companies that is forcing people to work in the office. Um, so you can I
Hmm.
probably see so they're losing more talent because of that. People are like, and now if this happens, that stock is going to tank when because people thought they were going to make a bunch of money because they're going to sell the stock and get it for they're going to pay way more than what the stock is worth. Um, I'm sure Bobby Kotick is he's going to lose tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars out of this because um, something I was interesting I learned about this is like the guy's ultimate dream is to become a billionaire. He wants to buy a sports franchise,
Hmm.
um, and this would basically would about put him in the billionaire market there if this deal goes through. So I imagine he's not gonna be very happy about this not happening. But
Oh,
yeah,
he'd be
so
shitting
which
bricks.
honestly, if this doesn't happen, that'd be my favorite thing about it is this fuck Bobby Kotick. So um, guy sounds like a fucking piece of shit. So fuck you. Um, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm not like we're not business majors at all. We don't understand the financial world as as best as many others. But I don't know. I feel like this deal's. I still feel pretty confident. Like I was probably like a 90% for like the last year and a half. Maybe sometimes it'd waver down to like 80, 75%. But I like now I'm like this is the lowest I've ever felt. Or like now I'm thinking like a so like I would say like 60% it's gonna happen. How are you feeling right now, Gables?
Um, I still feel like with this kind of block and stuff, there may still be a chance, but at the same time, it's going to be drawn out for even further. So I actually would put this more like a 70% chance that this may go
Okay.
through still, but obviously the remaining 30% is in results to the whole
Yeah.
thing with the UK
Country Music Awards.
and the still litigations and potential like court summons or whatever the heck that may go through in order to try to get things
Yeah.
all patched
So I
up.
wouldn't be shocked if maybe they, we've seen them. They're, Microsoft's out there wheeling and dealing, making deals with all these people for 10-year deals, stuff like that. So I wouldn't be shocked to make some sort of like maybe the deal goes through, but there's like major compromises that happen. Like we've seen like when Disney bought Fox, um, part of their compromise was because there's the four main channels, local channels: ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox.
Yeah.
Um, Disney owns ABC. Fox obviously owns Fox. Um, when they bought the Fox properties, they weren't allowed to buy the Fox networks. So that's why we still see like FS1, Fox News, and like regular Fox shit like that are not where they're still their
Yes.
own uh, separate thing, and that's because that was part of their like a deal they had to make when it came through. So, but yeah, first time we talked about it in probably a year, and last time we'll talk about it until something substantial happens. But yeah. But Gables,
Exactly.
let's get into some other news here. Um, Armored Core 6, Gables, got a release date,
Yep.
August 25th.
Yes, it did.
Pretty shocking. When
Yes, it did.
we saw that when it got revealed at the Game Awards, we were like, not a chance in hell. That they when they said 2023, we are like, nope, 2024. We were so confident that no one even bid on it. We didn't even draft it in our league, our fantasy league.
That's
Eventually, we
true.
bid on it, and unfortunately, you won that piece of shit. Um, but yeah, August 25th, we finally got some gameplay for it. Not a lot of gameplay. They did the thing where like they like show you like quick like 3 second like fast dashes, like dodges, like they just do a lot of fast cuts. We didn't see like I'm not saying like I need a 20-minute straight gameplay, but like we didn't see like real gameplay. We saw actual what the graphics are gonna look like. The game looks fantastic. Um, I'm not the FromSoft guy, but normally I'm a mech person. Closest thing I ever got was Zone of the Enders because of the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo back in the day. But
Ah,
I don't know too much about the Armored Core. Like I know more now because of obviously like the last few months. But I don't know, Gables, how you feeling about Armored Core 6?
honestly, I'm feeling pretty good about it because the game, even from what we did initially see from this stealth release, like stealth release trailer, it was it was interesting. I mean, there was a lot of different set pieces and stuff. That some of the clips that we've seen, like a scope and scale with your robot and stuff, and some of the backgrounds and some of the things that went into play with that and stuff. And you're right that we didn't see a lot of like gameplay, but even without seeing too much of the gameplay, the stuff that we did see and the sequences that it was going through, it was rather impressive for what they were aiming for. From what I get the feeling is like it seems like that's exactly what they kind of did in regards to when they were creating this game. This definitely feels like a Dark Souls esque
Mm-hmm.
like Armored Core game. It definitely does. There's so many different like I'm seeing like so many different like types of places you could potentially be at, and it's like you could say jump or like hover in terms of like certain other places to explore or wherever. And honestly, that it has a good appeal to it. I mean, there's a lot of people that are interested in like a mecha stuff that they have been waiting for a game like this. It's like that feeling of just manning your giant robot and stuff, going to place, like fighting other giant robots and all this stuff. But I'm excited to see that it's releasing this year in August 25th. That's crazy. I actually did not expect this game, even if it was going to release this year. I thought it would be in the fall. I absolutely thought it would be like in the fall or like maybe like a no, like an October or a November release at that. But no, no, it's like it's just another huge game that's going to be releasing in such a short time because we're already clearly out of April now. It's like we have May where we have Tears of the Kingdom and stuff like that. You have June that has its own big selections of like major games releasing with Street Fighter 6 and Final Fantasy 16, and then July is like a little bit of a lull and stuff. I mean,
Exo
there's
Primal.
Pikmin 4, there's like Exo Primal there as well. But yet August is coming out now with Armor Core 6. It's like this year has been big release after big release after big release after big
Yeah.
release, and it's gonna go right into
Yeah.
its eighth month, of the year.
And a week
That's
and a half later we get Starfield.
crazy.
And then in
That's
September we
true.
also supposed to get
Now we're extending
Spider-Man.
it to 9 months.
So yeah, it's never
Exactly.
gonna end.
This year has been full of like banger after banger, and
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Um, yeah, like I think maybe being coming out on August 25th probably a good time to come out too because um, I think it's just how I feel like the biggest selling point of this game for non like hardcore people is like especially after Elden Ring is like get that From Software name out there as much as possible for people to see. Like instead of having
Yes.
Armored Core 6 as the title on the box at the store, maybe just put From Software on that part, and in the corner just put Armored Core 6. Like that might be your best bet. Um, yeah, because I think this game's gonna sell extremely well. I'm sure it's gonna be a great game. I'm not trying to discount it at all. But I think this is like it's so different because like you look at any other game FromSoft has done since Demon Souls. They all have that
Mm.
familiar style look to them. You can tell when you're looking. Is it Miyazaki, right? Miyazaki. I'm
Yeah,
sorry
I
if
think
I'm
it's
wrong on that one,
Miyazaki.
but you could tell when it's him. You could tell when it's a FromSoft game, like from the visual style, the art design, the enemies, even the character you play as. There's all a very familiar style. This is totally different, and on top of that, it's called
Hmm.
Armored Core 6. So that might turn some people off. So I think the biggest thing you can do for a PR campaign is just like get that From Software name out there as much as possible for people to see because I think the
Right.
game looks. I think the game looks great. Am I gonna play it? Probably not. Um, for reasons I said at the top, but I mean I've been wrong before. I put like 40 hours in the Wulong earlier this year. So who's to say? But
Mm.
yeah, I'm excited for people that that's awesome. It's coming out. But yeah, I think August coming out is a good time because it gets you away from that holiday time, and I think a game like this it's probably better to. I mean, we don't know what's coming this holiday, so maybe um, it's gonna be pretty light. We don't know, but I feel like this is probably the best time. This date did leak earlier in the week though, um, so I wonder if maybe this was supposed to get announced at like a Summer Game Fest type of thing, and then the date and everything leaked online like on Monday, I believe. I had it in the show notes, the
Mm.
date and everything, because I saw the articles about it, and then it just randomly dropped on like Thursday, the trailer. So I do think we'll Summer Game Fest though, because we've seen Jeff Keighley has the goods usually with FromSoft. So I mean,
Well, that's the thing, man. It's like now it's even with it kind of released, like revealing leaking early in terms of release date. It's like it's still a
yeah,
short time to wait before
four
we initially
months.
get a
Yeah,
chance to play it.
that's wild. Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. I mean, what I mean, it was announced at Game Awards, so you're talking basically 9 months between announcement and release. That's pretty sweet. So hey, like I said, I'm excited for those people. So I'm assuming this will be a game you're gonna be picking up day one, Gables.
Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing what this has to show for it. I'm also looking forward to more gameplay stuff eventually
Yeah,
inside
yeah.
summertime.
Did you also see that Cyberpunk, the Phantom Liberty, is gonna be revealed at Summer Game Fest as well?
Ah, I actually missed
Yeah,
that nugget of information, but yeah, I'm interested in seeing how
yeah.
that's going to fare as well.
Has
You know,
fantasy critic implications on that one. But Gables, to move
yes,
on to our final topic, Nintendo is returning to Gamescom, Gables. Um, First time they've been there since
yes,
2019. It is taking place between the
hmm
22nd and the 27th of August. Wow, Armored Core is coming out during Gamescom. Wow,
yes, it is.
assholes. Um, I was fucking poor journalists. I got to have to review that game and go to a Gamescom at the same time. Um, but
Hmm.
like I said, Gables, first time in 4 years they've been there.
Huh?
We don't know anything about Nintendo. After we have Pikmin in July,
No.
obviously we have Tears of the Kingdom in like 2 weeks, which is great. Gables
Yes.
less than 2 weeks away from Tears of the Kingdom. How you feeling?
Yes. Yes, it is. I'm actually feeling really good about it right now. I've already got my copy ordered, and it's coming through on Amazon. It's probably going to be, it's saying a week late,
Yeah,
but I'm not sure. But still, I'm very happy that this thing's going to be coming out on
yeah.
less
Oh
than a
God, I
couple
can't
weeks
wait.
now.
Um, but yeah, I mean, Gables, what's
Hmm.
going on with Nintendo? We
That's
talked about
interesting.
the September thing in Seattle, and I shut you the fuck down
Yes.
because you were like, "What if they have a new hardware?" And I'm like, "You're a fucking idiot, Gables. I love you, but you're an idiot." But Gables,
What?
what's going on with Nintendo?
We know absolutely nothing past July in regards to Nintendo. And here they are coming on to Gamescom around late August, around the same time as Armored Core 6 is releasing, like you were saying.
This is 2 weeks before the
With
the the Seattle thing, I believe, and
mm-hmm,
not too long, but I think a few weeks before
mm-hmm.
Tokyo Game Show.
Yes. Yes. I'm not sure if they're going to participate in Tokyo Game Show, mind you, but that's very much interesting if I do say so myself. So even with that, I mean, why would they be going into a Gamescom situation if they haven't really unveiled anything in terms of the second half of the year at this point? That's barring, mind you, that they do put out something in terms of like either in June or July, maybe like some form of a
Yeah,
direct or whatever the heck. I mean, they they don't they're not really following the patterns like they were in the past few years or something. I mean, hell, they had their direct thing like in July
it was
last year, I
they
think it
had no,
was,
they had
right?
it in
Or
September, but they had a partner one in late June. That was that weird
Okay, they
farming
did have a
animated
partner with like
simulator
June.
one.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah. That
terrible.
was
Yeah.
still oh the whole farming simulator stuff. Like
There's like 11 of
all
them,
those freaking yeah, it was definitely a lot more than we
like
thought it was going to
11
be.
more.
But yeah, I'm at a loss, man. It's like they is a good place where they could reveal like a couple of different games that they have been working on, but at the same time, traditionally Gamescom really isn't a place where Nintendo goes and unveils like a lot of various big games or something like there in
No,
their
usually they
events.
just you go to play games that are announced, like because they've been a part of Gamescoms, but usually, yeah,
Hmm.
it's like you're like the last one they had like people can go and play like Luigi Mansion 3 was there at that point in time. It was
Yeah.
Astral Chain shit like that. Games that come out just shortly before that or were coming out soon is what you're looking at here. And like Tears
Yes.
of the Kingdoms, yeah, at that point is gonna be out for almost 4 months. Pikmin 4 is 6 weeks, 6 weeks. I can't remember how when that date is exactly, but it's been out for over a month at that point.
Hmm.
Like I said, like outside of Metro Prime 4, we literally know nothing from them. Uh, they're
Yeah.
like they still
Exactly.
seems like they do the September direct, like that timetable has not changed for them. The June one, they've
Hmm.
obviously missed basically 2 of the last 3 years. Um, so and they already said even before E3 got canceled, they said they weren't going to be a part of it. Does that mean we don't get a direct?
True.
Not necessarily, but I feel like if they had stuff they wanted to show, they would have been at E3. Um,
This actually kind of puts more fuel to the fire that they may have some form of a direct before going into Gamescom. Because my thoughts about it, my speculations about it, it's like if Gamescom traditionally for Nintendo has been them having games that you could play that are not releasing too far away from that point in time, that would suggest that perhaps maybe like a couple of weeks leading into that stuff, they do put out some form of a direct mainline direct or whatever the heck and showcase some new titles that are going to be playable released by the end of this year. Whether or not that could be suspected like Metroid Prime 4 or like the couple of the GameCube remasters that we've been hearing about now
mm.
for the past few months. It just tells me one thing, and that is they're not going to do any type of major reveals at the Gamescom
I
itself.
can, I don't know. Like,
You
yeah,
know,
we don't like this Nintendo really says Reggie left. Um, as like it's just not the Nintendo that we like. We knew like there was a pattern. We knew it. We didn't know what we were gonna get, but there's always a
mm.
pattern to them. Um,
And they know exactly what they're doing too with this stuff. They understand that they have
yeah,
patterns and stuff that the fans
but
have been keeping track of and stuff. So they constantly
yeah,
want to throw a
and
wrench into
they've
and
definitely
do all that
changed
stuff.
those. Um, over the last. I mean, look, like we always got at least one big announcement from them at like the video game awards. We have not gotten anything major from them. I think since 2019. I can't remember what year
Hmm.
Sephiroth was announced. Maybe 2020 was the last one. Really, since Reggie left.
Yes,
Um,
yes. December 2020 was when
yeah,
Sephiroth was
and
revealed
that was
inside
the
of
last
Smash
thing they've
Brothers.
done. Like they've done commercials at the game, like at Jeff Keighley stuff, but it seems like ever since like I think Reggie was like his one like kind of person to like get those deals done. But I don't know. Maybe now with E3 pretty much being gone, maybe they're the one. He's like, hey, like come give put a couple things in here like the major. I mean, I don't feel like they have a lot though. It could easily just be something like, hey, there's a couple like smaller games. Like maybe we see the. I mean, obviously it's Pokemon. It's not Nintendo, not necessarily
Hmm.
Nintendo, but like maybe we finally see that fucking Nintendo or the Pokemon DLC. Maybe they have,
Oh yeah, the DLC is definitely going to be
yeah.
coming around that time
Yeah,
frame,
I don't
though.
know. I still don't feel like we're gonna get hardware at this thing. I feel like if they're gonna do it, they would either do it like that. I still feel like it'd be like kind of what we had when they announced Switch. It'd be probably in Japan somewhere, um, and it would be a bigger thing than Gamescom. But
Like a
yeah,
Tokyo
yeah,
Game
yeah.
Show.
Which is possible, but that's gonna take place. That's like I think mid to late September. So I don't know. I think it's just very curious that they're gonna be back. But obviously, like 2020, 2021, Gamescom wasn't in person. 2022 was, but 2022 was kind of a that fall. They didn't really have a lot, did they? I can remember they had Bayonetta
Let's
3,
see. And
which is
all, yeah,
but
Bayonetta 3 was one of
it's a
them.
second party type of thing. Pokemon, um, but that wasn't playable anywhere beforehand. I don't think there was really. I can't
No.
remember. Oh, there was Mario plus Rabbids, but that was Ubisoft. So they didn't really have like a first party in house game of their own. I don't think that came out in this holiday, like around that would came out. It would have been worked out for Gamescom, I guess. So I'm sure we're forgetting something, but
Right.
I don't know. It's interesting. I think it's just we are very much like it feels like the last couple of years we've just been in this um, weird time with Nintendo. So um,
But yeah, that's the thing, man. It's like it could be, there's just a lot of hypotheticals currently because Nintendo has altered a bunch of their
mm,
patterns in this regards. But if there's one thing that we can keep in mind and stuff that we cannot dismiss is if they were try to unveil any type of new hardware at this point, it would be inside of a direct itself and not more or less like at a random in-person event like say with Gamescom or Tokyo
well,
Game Show or even
yeah,
like in
I
terms
feel
of
like
their
if
whole
they're going
event, I
to
would think.
announce a new hardware, I think they want it. I think they do it in person. Maybe not announce it, but like show it off.
Mm.
Like yeah, you want to do it at like the big reveal thing. Like you look at like the one
Right.
in person thing they've done um, in years now, the last decade has been the Switch reveal thing in that January 2017 where they did showed up arms and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Like went to Switch. That was like the only like in person thing other than like Treehouse stuff at like E3. But um, yeah, I feel like yeah you can like throw a trailer up on your YouTube channel and a blog post and like announce it, reveal it, and show it off. Kind of like PSVR 2 did basically too. But then have like previews in person stuff you want people to get their hands on it. Like so Gamescom would be and Tokyo Game Show would like those being back to back. Maybe it would be a good time to do it because you know you have these two things that people are already going to. You don't have to like throw one together and pay a bunch of people to fly out to do a thing. Like you're already here. Here it is. Check it out. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
That's what
This Gamescom thing, I feel like it's either gonna be nothing or it's gonna be something big. I don't.
I think it's just going to
Yeah,
be nothing
I'm gonna
personally.
try to keep it there. But I don't know. I just yeah, I don't know. It's just like I said, we're in this weird time with Nintendo where like it just feels like any moment something big can happen from them. But yeah,
That's true. That's definitely the type of feeling I've been feeling though for a
yeah.
while from them.
But let's move on to some other news this week. Gables, not a lot. First up,
Mm,
Horizon. They announced they're working on the next iteration of it. No shock there. Kind of the biggest no duh in gaming maybe. There's been a lot of rumors that there's like they're doing like the multiplayer version of it. So who knows if they're talking about that one or full blown 3 or maybe Horizon 3 is the multiplayer version. Hopefully not for my sake. Um, Next up here, Quantum Break. Remember that was taken off of the Game Pass and off of
yes.
actually I didn't realize this it was taken off like the Xbox stores and everything as well. It is now back up on Game Pass and stores, so you can buy it or play it on
Okay.
Game Pass. They said they had taken it down for licensing reasons, but I'm kind of shocked. It was only like 3 weeks ago it got taken down. Um, and also, we got a Twisted Metal teaser trailer. Gibbs, did you get a chance to see it?
Okay, the teaser trailer itself, no, but at the same time, I know it's going to be on Peacock. I've seen the advertisements when I power on the PS4, and then I think to myself, "Oh God, oh God, this is probably
Yeah,
not going to be
it,
good."
it's on Peacock. It's a Twisted Metal TV show. Um, if it's
Mm.
just, I just need you to be like Mortal Kombat, like the newer one. Just be entertaining. I don't need you to be anything else. Just you know, and it will be fine.
Just have
Yeah,
Sweet Tooth
just
be Sweet Tooth.
I'm not like a huge Twist Metal fan, but like as far as like entertainment wise, like for what I'm expecting, just be entertaining enough. Um, yeah, I did not look. I don't know. Like I'm not like I don't think anybody was blown away by it. I don't think anybody's like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I'm like, okay. Either like everybody's like, eh, or Yeah, I'll watch the first episode. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'll watch the first episode. Um, yeah, but I don't think it's gonna. I feel like it's between Last of Us and Mario, the Mario Bros. Movie. I don't think that will be in that tier when we look back on this year. So of those, but
Oh
all right,
no.
Gil, so let's move on here. Let's get to what we've been playing. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'm curious to see what you've actually hear about what you've been playing. So
Okay.
you go first this
So
time.
I mentioned I got Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Um,
Hmm.
I played the first like 2 hours, I'd say. I basically just did like the first like area, which is kind of like a tutorial area where you go to Coruscant, which is like the main planet from the prequel movies, and you could definitely right away see the budget. They got a looks like they got a big. Obviously, we're on new consoles now, but you could just you could just tell that they got a lot more money for this game than they did the first one because obviously Fallen Order was like the one that like kind of changed EA's mind on like um, single player games, uh, and we've seen like Dead Space coming out. There's that one coming out in July. I always forget the name of too. But yeah, we're seeing like them kind of change their tune on single player games after over a decade of them being dead to them. Um, but yeah, like they've definitely. If, my main problem with when I played the first game, Fallen Order, was I played it when it first came out, and it was so many bugs and issues and stuff like that. And I did hear about there was a lot of bugs and issues in like the review embargo area, but they had a massive day one patch, um, and so far I've had no bugs or anything like that. I've seen some frame dips, but oddly enough, only during cutscenes have
Hmm.
I noticed it, not during gameplay, which is weird. Usually it's the other way around. But it's not like massive, but it's noticeable. But like I said, you could like I feel like they've done a great job of like because I feel like the first game was like my biggest issue was first off it just felt floaty. It just felt like a souped up double A game rather than like a full blown like triple A game. Like it just took a bunch of different things that other games were really good at. Like took Dark Souls,
Right.
Uncharted, Tomb Raider, um, but I got a couple of games I always use as examples. I can't remember off the top of my head. But like it just took a bunch of those elements, try to turn it into its own like a Star Wars game, and they just did like a B plus job on
Yes.
all of them. And they didn't do a good job of like putting it all
Ooh.
together. But it was still like I still thought it was like a solid like like 8 out of 10 type of game. Like it wasn't bad. And even when I replayed it just a few weeks ago, um, it's like it was still it's shocking to find out how the game still doesn't. It's not like broken or anything. It runs way better than initially did at launch, but like it does not. There's still bugs and issues and stuff like that. Um, 4 years later. But yeah, like coming in this one though, it's like it runs a lot better. It looks amazing. Blown away by the art and the graphics and the power of this thing. The gameplay is a whole hell of a lot better. Like it's definitely is a Dark Souls like game. You have like meditation that you go like a meditating areas or like the what is the the flame? What's the where you sit the fire you sit at? Uh, bonfire. Thank
Oh,
you.
the
That you
bonfire.
sit at in like in Elden Ring or Demon Souls stuff like that. They have that, and that you go to meditate and then you update your skills stuff like that. If you die, you lose those skills. You have to go back to and pick them up where you die at. It is definitely pretty. It is definitely challenging. Like it's all about it's really focused on parrying and stuff like that, and learning your enemies your his attacks and get it down to that frame that you need to get to. But I love so far so like I haven't been reunited with the characters from the first game like Grease or anything like that, but introduce these new characters. I feel like the story right away. I love the story from the first game, and I like Cal was like he was like this takes place between 3 and 4. The first one was like I think like 7 years after Episode 3, where the Order 66 comes through and they kill the Jedi, so he's hiding, and he's
Hmm.
kind of like he's relearning the Force after not using it for so long, and he's like timid and scared, trying to like just get used to being a Jedi again, and just dealing with like this whole new world like after like hiding on this planet. And this one he's a lot more confident. I like this Cal a lot more. 'Cause in the first game, I thought he was good, but I thought everybody else around him just ran laps around that character. This one, he's like definitely like I said, he's a lot more confident in himself. He's like a leader now. He knows what he's doing. Like he's a little bit of Nathan Drake in him. A little bit of that arrogance that I like him. I'm not saying he's a copying that, but you could see that like that the Han Solo in him a little bit to um, that he has that he was lacking in that first game. He's very much like Luke in like episode 4, like the beginning of episode 4. Uh, and yeah, so far I've just been really liking what I've been playing. Like I said, they get like you start off with all the skills that you learned from the first game, so that's great. You don't lose them.
Yes.
And they add up. You get like a hook shot, so they're adding stuff to it. Like there's different like controls, like different like ways you can use lightsaber. Like you can for combat, and they each have different ones. It's kind of like Ghost of Tsushima. You have like the 4 different styles you can use, and they work against different enemies in a certain way. Like so in this, like so far I've only learned 3, but you have like the single lightsaber, like you always see. Then you have like the Darth Maul double-sided lightsaber. They can use that's great for like crowd control. And then you have another one that's like it breaks the lightsaber in two. So then you have 2 lightsabers, and that's more for like it's not as
Right.
powerful, but it's more about just it's faster. It's kind of like going from like like the single one is like a pistol. The dual sided one is kind of like a machine gun, and or maybe, yeah, like more like machine gun. And then the when you're holding 2, it's kind of like a submachine gun where it's just like rapid fire. You're just doing a lot of damage, but it's not as powerful. Or you're it's not as
Hmm.
powerful, but you're getting a lot of hits in. So it's been cool like learning like how to use those against certain people at certain times. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it because I've only beat the first area, and I'm about to go on to the second map. But the reason I haven't played as much of it is Advance Wars 1 got its hooks in me, Gables,
Ah,
and I finally beat the fucker.
nice.
Um, yeah, so I thought about last
Nice.
week. I only played it for like 2 hours at that point. It's been like I've been taking my work as initially like we had to take an hour lunch now, so I'm just sitting in the truck by myself for an hour. So I've been taking my Switch with me on lunch breaks. So I've been just kind of like working through missions and stuff like that. But I was like, oh, I'll just play this on my work break. This is perfect for what I need. And I go home. I'm like, I just want to play more Advance Wars. So I'm playing the fuck out of Advance Wars. Uh, and what's shocking, Gables, this game is actually hard. Even on like, so
Yes, it is hard.
I played it on. There's like classic and there's casual. I'm playing on casual, and it's still difficult. Where
Hmm.
like if it's a strategy game. Obviously, you have like you have different like units you use. You have uh, like the foot soldiers that like they can take over bases and stuff like that, which earn you more points. Which you can use you earn more points. You can bring out more tanks, more anti air guns or ships and whatever. Um, and you could take over like the enemy's bases and stuff like that. Then you have like you have like say you have tanks. They can't go as far, but they do a lot of damage. You have recon ones that like they're little trucks. They don't do a lot of damage, but they can go a lot further. So they're really good for like distracting stuff like that. But this game is like I talk about like I only ever played the Dual Strike one. I thought I played both DS games, but then I looked up some gameplay for Days of Ruins, and it's like more realistic. I'm like, oh my god, like I can't believe Nintendo made this game.
Yep, it's
Totally
it's
different.
different. It's
Yes.
vastly different than like the other like Advance Wars games that came before it. Whereas like Advance Wars 1, 2 on the Game Boy Advance and then Dual Strike, the early DS release, those were all interwoven inside of that. And then like Days of Ruin was something completely different. It was like a
Yeah,
reboot
but
of
it was like
Advance
dark and
Wars.
gritty. Something about war and like
Yeah, it was actually
yeah, but it was
fairly
just
good
like
actually. That was I think that's one of the
yeah, it's
ones I
just
actually
wild. Like you
beat,
like
I think.
looking at that game. It's holy shit. I can't believe they made like it blows my mind Nintendo made this game. Like like the way this game
Hmm.
it's this kiddie game, but it's like also like they talk about like sending you to like sacrifice your people to like you gotta send people to their deaths to like go and like to distract them so you can go around or whatever. And it's like I keep like every like
Right.
5 minutes I'm like I can't believe Nintendo made this game. This is wild to me. Like wow. Like I know it's like
That's Nintendo
yeah
back in
like
2001.
even like they're making this game like up to like 2010. It's wild to me. Uh, but anyways, yeah, so this game was got it took to me. Like I played, like I said, I loved Dual Strikes back in the day. Played through that and beat that game. But yeah, like I still love like how it's like it makes you like kind of like change like a lot of these like strategy type of games. Like I learned one or two strategies. I just kind of rinse, wash, repeat. You know, in this game, like every
Yes.
mission is different, and sometimes like it's like different ideas of what you already know, but like it's definitely some trial and error. Where like I've had to restart multiple missions because like I'm like 5, 6 missions in, and I'm like, okay, I've really fucked this up, or okay, like you just kind of like, okay, like I didn't, like just like fog of war ones we can't like actually see the map. You can only see like a couple spaces in front of your characters, so you just kind of like it's easy to like you a couple bad moves and like you're completely fucked. Um, but like yeah, I loved just like all the different like constantly like even all the way up to the end. Like I'm learning different like ways to play. It's like where like I like the beginning of this game like I've always played it like more like I usually either am like very defensive or I'm very aggressive. Like, or I'm like when I see an opening, I'm going like full frontal attack here, or I'm going like I don't want to lose anybody. I want to take as little damage as possible. I just want to get my ducks in a row and then go. You know, and this game was like
Hmm.
you could do that in some missions. Some missions like you have to do it. That's the way to do it. But then like you can't. Every mission's different. Where like some of them like some of these like the last mission dude is like 2.5 hour like endurance run of just like it's just like you're just like spamming as many guys on the map as you can like foot soldiers to like just
Hmm.
sacrifice them to like just fill spots on the map, and then like you're like bringing up tanks behind them to like as you're killing off your little dudes, you're bringing the tanks, you're slowly but surely taking out their big guns while they're worrying about the smaller guys.
Damn.
um and like yeah, like I loved all that like learning and like figuring out better like all like I said every almost every mission I was like new ways to learn how to play them. Like, oh, okay, so like, do put this guy here. Okay, they're gonna attack this, but they're not gonna kill it. So put that in the back. Put a fresh one up front. So they're never dying, and you're just constantly because like I would send guys out like and just let them eventually go out until they die. And like, oh wait, no, I want to keep as many like even if they're all like 4 or 5 health, it's better to have 5 or 6 with 4 or 5 health than 2 with 10 health. Stuff like that. Like just like
Right.
learning the strategies. But yeah, like I was playing Star Wars. I popped it on and I was like so I played like an hour and a half of that last mission, and I realized like I've lost this a while ago, and I'm just like delaying the inevitable is all I'm doing here. So like I said, I was like an hour and a half into this thing, and I just like I turned it off, and I'm like, all right, I gotta walk away for a while, and I started playing Star Wars, and I was playing it. I'm loving the game so far, and in the back of my head though, I'm like, man, I'm right there. I can beat that. Like I know what I gotta do. Like I figured out what I need to do. And I just gotta do it. And it's like I know what I did
Yes.
wrong. I gotta know, but it's like man, it's gonna take so long to do. But it's like I beat that first mission in Star Wars, immediately turned back on Advance Wars, and it's like I did not stop until like I finally like beat it. Like it took me 25 hours to beat that campaign. Um, and like
Wow, dude.
yeah, like I was obviously like I was seeing some people were beating this game in like 8 hours. So obviously I am I was being a lot more cautious in some of these like for sure, but like yeah, I was like, especially because like some of those, like I said, some of these missions can take a while. Like most of them, I probably beat like anywhere between 10 and like 20 minutes. But like, some of them like were taking 45 minutes to an hour, and it's like I'd rather slow play this than like all right, I need to hurry up and do this, and then fuck up and then have to restart the whole thing over again. So that's kind of where my mind was. But yeah, like I had a complete fucking blast with this. I'm not quite ready to jump into Advance Wars 2 right away. Um, Especially like I said, I got Star Wars out now. Zelda's in a couple weeks. I don't want to like start this thing and then lose momentum on it. Because it's definitely with strategy games, it
Right.
can be harder to jump back into. And I'm like, what the fuck do I do again? Uh, so I don't know. I might take a little break between Advance Wars 1 and 2 here. Especially like I said, as Zelda is coming out in a couple weeks. So, but yeah, like I've been had a complete fucking blast with it. It is. I love the. I actually really like the anime style of it. There's some cool like cutscenes you have in there as well. I like that.
Right.
Cool thing is, I don't know who, but Aaron Hansen, Eagle Raptor from Game Grumps, is one of the voice actors in this game. Yeah,
In Advance Wars.
yeah, that was kind of
Huh.
interesting. I saw that in the
Interesting.
credits today uh, when I was watching them. So yeah, but anyways, love that game. Can't believe I did not anticipate I would like the game as much as I did. I knew I love like I said I do love Dual Strikes back in the day, and I was super like Talk about over and over again. This game literally pre-ordered for 2.5 years, 3 years, like 2.5 years now, almost 2 years, um,
Yeah.
somewhere in there. So I've been super pumped to play this game, but I did not think that it would get its hooks in me like it did. The fact I put 25 hours into it in a week, a little over like what 9 days. So yeah, but absolutely adore this game. So that's what I've been playing. Advance Wars and Star Wars. What about you, Gables?
All right. As for me, in terms of what I've been playing a new game predominantly, and it's something I picked up at Walmart for about 15 bucks, and that was Super Monkey Ball, like Banana Mania. It released like about, I want to say like a year or two ago at this point, but the game in and of itself is something I've been curious. I've been wanting to play a little bit of Super Monkey Ball because I wanted to see in regards to whether or not I would like it or not. And I think I've played a little bit over like 40 some odd levels of it so far. And I've been having to restart a bunch of different times because it's the thing about these courses is like each individual world that they have a set number of courses. So there's like about 100 levels in all. And for the main story mode portion of it. So you get to choose one of like a couple different types of monkeys and stuff like that. I've been going with I, the main like character in regards to this game. And what's fun about it is like these missions are more or less these obstacle courses are more structured in terms of okay, you can collect all the bananas and stuff and get to the goal as quickly as possible or before the time runs out and stuff. Some of them can be incredibly easy. Some of them are like, okay, I don't have to collect all the bananas for this stuff. I can go and do this and do that. I will say though, it fairly quickly to me was a game where it's like, yeah, I don't want to try to complete this because this is going to frustrate the hell out of me. And that's because by the time you go through and collect all the bananas in certain stages, like leading up to like by the end of the first world, I was still kind of running out of time. And like I wouldn't be able to finish certain courses without having to use on there's a helper mode to it, right? This is like this little assist thing where it helps slow down like the monkey and stuff before like so we can go and do turns easier and stuff. But what I've initially have found that was most efficient in terms of playing this game is like basically go through the different level, go and navigate along like different curves and stuff, get like a rhythm going and stuff, so that way you figure out the whole aspect of how you're gonna move the monkey like around certain turns or like go and collect certain bananas or go in different platforms and stuff to go from one level to another. But like I've stated, I've already gotten through around 3 worlds. I was in the mid 40s in terms of stages and stuff, and now they're starting to get harder. I mean, there are some ones that are particularly hard. I think I was replaying one mission inside of that fourth world. I kid you not, maybe like about 8 to 10 different times because there was some sort of weird oddity or something like that. Because a lot of the characters inside this game, it's kind of like based upon like physics based sort of stuff. So sometimes the monkey will go incredibly fast if you go forward, or if it hits off a certain curve or something like that, it'll go flying off course and stuff like that without you having to go forth and slow it down. In this mission in general, I had to go to the base of where this giant pillar was, right? And then the goals were like circling around the pillar. What I had to do was I had to drop down, had to go to a specific platform that has a convenient cutout so that way my monkey can fit right at this moment. And then once that thing kind of flings it like a pinball, I have to hold back on the analog stick down so that way it would decrease the speed fast enough to where I can try to get to this goal at the end of the pull. So why it took me so long is I kept on getting flung out of the course. I kept on overshooting the thing, and I literally had to try to fall down on top of the pillar. During the last time I did it before I cleared it, I actually went flying like completely up in the air with but I landed straight on the top of the pillar, and that allowed me to go and navigate myself slowly through one of the goals and initially fall through the goal. That was around that time where I just started to make a decision. It's like, okay, do I want to give this game a break for a little bit? Because it's like I played through almost half of the game's story campaigns and stuff. The missions are fun and everything else like that, but they are also getting so incredibly difficult because by the way I'm controlling like I and try to get navigate the different levels, it's starting to become even more like kind of like repetitive in terms of okay, I have to be super sensitive in the way I try to move this guy, or else I am off the course, or I have to restart the level over and over. And by every time I failed and stuff, I would just go to the pause menu and just restart that course over again. Because if you try to do it over and over without that stuff, you couldn't clear and get like a specific like clear like item stuff, like a no deaths or something like that, unless you had to completely restart that one level. So in my overall time playing it, I think I've played like about I guess a couple hours of it by now. It's not bad. It's actually pretty fun. I can understand why it got like mid to late 70s in terms of review scores because there is a fun base to it, and playing as any one of the little monkeys and stuff is pretty fun. But at the same time, if you're trying to if you're like a completionist trying to collect certain like all the bananas and all of the other stuff there, yeah, it's gonna be a big old pain in the ass until you learn how to master the controls of this game. But in other games and stuff, I did pick up Advance Wars. I still want to go forth and crack open that,
You
so I
son of a
want to play
bitch! You
it.
gotta play online. I did find out that so they said there's online multiplayer. You can only play with friends.
Yeah. Oh,
So
okay.
it's
That's
bullshit.
interesting. So you can only just play like
Or people on your friends
online
list.
like
Yes.
PvP
Mhm.
for on your friends list. Okay, that's fine. We can try out that
Yeah.
aspect of it like a little bit later in that regard. So still need to I still want to at least play through the original Advance Wars because I do have nostalgia for both games, but I never played through to completion the first two. But yeah, I did pick up Advance Wars. I did go through. I did order Tears of the Kingdom off of Amazon. That's going to be heading my way. It's probably not going to come until like around a week after launch. Which, yeah, you know what? It is what it is. Because even when I set like the things like with free shipping and stuff like that, they generally tend to go and deliver around that same time anyway by launch. But other gameplay stuff, I really was just dabbling a little bit with Mario 64 and like other virtual console stuff. So it really wasn't like a lot. The initial time I played during the past week was like on that Sunday to Tuesday period where I played a lot of Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. But yeah, with that game, I'm pretty much going to go and probably set it down for a little while so I can focus on playing something
Nice.
else.
Very nice.
But
All
yeah,
right.
that's all
Well,
I've been
very cool.
playing.
Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this week, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. Like I said, top of the show. Like, follow, subscribe. Please do all that. Listen to us elsewhere. 5-star reviews. Click on that links down below to find us on Twitter, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, um, YouTube, wherever we're on it. But hey, once again though, if you're not listening to us on YouTube, or if you are and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Like I said, but check back here in a few days. We're gonna have that live react to the Nintendo E3 2007 press conference, and yeah, you don't want to miss it because it is a doozy.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, once again, guys,
Yes.
thank you guys so much for listening. I was host, I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. Until next time, play some fun games. But most importantly of all, thank you for listening to another fun filled episode of the Drunk
Thank
Nerds
you.
podcast.
Too sweet.
Yes,
Bye, guys.
too sweet, man. See ya.